There we go. Hey there. This is A Manard, Mr. Ya, the Monks of the Way, and had an interesting topic, and I'm gonna sit with you here on Sunday. We can call it Sit With Me Sunday. Suppose it'll be an ongoing thing. And today we've got the topic of the word no. I know this. I know that. And whether or not it's a belief. We believe we know something, whether or not it's true or not. That us saying we know something, us believing we know something, doesn't necessarily mean we really know it. And we should be aware then that there is this amount of uncertainty in knowing things. And we can go to the teachings of Buddha and talk about how he's saying, the problem isn't knowing things. The problem is in believing you do know things already. And so you're not open to new information. You can't properly evaluate things. So someone can come to you and make a logical, factual argument on something, and you just can't accept it. You can't consider that it might be true. What I'm doing here is I got a mortar and pestle, and I got some ingredients. I'm making some incense. And this mortar and pestle is actually a good metaphor for what I'm talking about because it's dirty. It's got hair in it and stuff. But the same thing that purifies the ingredients that I'm going to put in here, breaks them down, is also responsible for cleaning the mortar and pestle in the first place. I grind up this stuff that's stuck in here and clean it. Anyway, no one has joined, but I'll go ahead and talk about the debate I just had with a young fella. I say young fella, I believe he's younger than me, but I don't know how young he actually is. He said, I don't believe it. I know it. I'm like, okay, well, you might not be right. You believe it's true. Like, no, I know it. I've had some direct experience, and that tells me I'm right. Okay. Well, he says there's no uncertainty. Okay. Well, let's think back. Think back in your life. How many things have you been certain you knew? I know this. I know that. You made assumptions. I know this. I know that. And it turned out you weren't right. You were not right. So, did you know it or did you not know it? You believed you knew it. You said, I know it. But it wasn't objectively true. Knowing is a human construct, our belief that something is true. We've accepted it as true. That acceptance is belief. It's pretty clear when you look in the dictionary. We've all got Google. Look up the word belief. Number one thing right there. You've accepted that something's true. It is subjective. Knowing is subjective. The truth is objective. You are not a source of objective truth. You are a source of subjective knowing. Subjective, not objective, not absolute truth, but belief. Always belief. What kind of incense am I going to make? I've got rose petals. Got what is that? Sleepy time tea is made not coriander. Oh, chamomile. What else have I got here? What else am I going to make this incense out of? Well, there's some chemical that you use that makes it burn. So you can put a match to it and it goes and it lights on fire, and that's what I'm going to do. But also frankincense. So frankincense, chamomile, and rose petals. What's that going to smell like? Don't know. I mean, I know what they smell like separately. I don't know what they smell like together. But being that I like all three of them, I ought to like all three of them together. Sometimes that's not the case, but usually it is, for me anyway. Let's see, what should I do grinding up first? Well, let's make sure the mortar and pestle is clean by adding some material. Rose petals are nice and cleansing. You get to see me making incense, and you also get to meet me on topics. Nobody knew this was happening on Sunday. I didn't tell anybody. I only told the one guy that was debating what knowing was. And he's not here. He has decided he knows well enough that he's not going to factually debate it with me. Case in point, right? He's so sure that he knows that he's not willing to come here and talk to me about it. I told him I can factually debate proof that he's incorrect. He's not here. He's not here because he is so sure. He is not open to the debate. He's demonstrated that he's open to debate, but he comes from this position that, oh, I'm just correct. I'm just correct. I think Buddha says so. And that's it. Okay. Well, I told him you can keep trying to quote things, and I can go through, how you misunderstand these things or how they might be mistranslated. But if we're debating the truth of something, we don't need the words of Buddha. It's just me and you talking here. If you can't debate the truth of something, you don't know it well enough to tell me it's true. That's my opinion. So it's not going to take me as long to work on the rest of this stuff. You know what I think? I think I'm going to put some alcohol in here as a solvent because there's a little bit of some stuff gummed up in here, and that will also help. I'll edit this part out. I'm going to get some Everclear, actually, what I'm going to get. It's not for drinking. It's for a solvent. So I use it as a solvent to extract stuff from herbs, whatnot, and reclaim it. It's not for drinking. And once you've You've reclaimed it. You've basically distilled it out of the whatever it is you're working with. You have changed it so it doesn't have the same flavor, and it's actually stronger than out of the Everclear bottle original. So you really wouldn't want to drink it. Well, I wouldn't want to drink it. Maybe you would. I guess I can't speak for you. I like this mortar and pestle because it's nice and heavy. Use maybe one wash, more than one washing. So guess I should sit here for a good time and see if anybody shows up. See if anybody has any questions about this. They don't know it's about this, I guess. I guess this is the first time well, it's not the first time I've gone live, but I guess I don't remember how you do this. Maybe you can make a topic or whatever. Well, anyway, I do appreciate people stopping by if they do. In the future, on a Sit With Me Sunday or a Sit With Me Saturday, I think I should probably do those things. I think Sit With Me Saturday should probably be this meditation, and Sit With Me Sunday can be debate and meditation, or maybe they both are. I don't even know. I got a thumbs up, so I don't see anybody in here. So I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting that people think they know things and then they're not even willing to consider that they don't know them. A huge liability, huge gap in our ability to understand the world around us. And it's all part of the self-defense mechanism that we've got going on. I mean, the truth of what's going on in the universe is overwhelming. So our brains will not let us just see it, will not let us just experience it in any of our senses. And thinking is one of our six senses. It's one of the ways we get to experience the world. We get to think about things. We get hung up because thinking is different than seeing. The brain does both of those things. Signals go to the brain makes sense of stuff. The thinking happens actually inside the brain, but then again, once again, the brain has to make sense of it. So we have limitations as humans, as subjective knowers. I mean, I say I know things too sometimes. But when somebody says, you know what? You're incorrect. Let's talk about it. I don't turn around and go, no, I know it. It's not that I believe it. I know it. Okay. Well, you believe you know it. You believe it's the truth. It's a nice day. We are in Omaha, Nebraska, in a parking lot. It's a huge parking lot. Not far from a place over there, Monster Cafe. They sell collectibles. They do tournaments there, play games, that kind of thing. They have like They're trying to have an internet cafe, so it's a place where I can use the internet to do stuff, even stuff like this probably, although they might not appreciate me at one of their tables making such a video. I don't know. I don't. Probably they wouldn't care. Probably they wouldn't care. Maybe we'll see sometime. Oh, somebody said something. Let me find out. Ah, it's Heather. I'm here. Hi. Good to see you talking again. Great. Yeah, I started the live today. What spurred it, I mean, I wanted to do it and I wanted to do it, but I didn't just do it. And this guy was debating me today and he was so close-minded about this that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go live. Maybe some other people will have some input. Maybe they'll have a different way to say something that can get him to click. Although I don't think that's the case. I think that he's so sure of himself that he's not open to new information, and it's going to take a while to cycle through his subconscious for his subconscious to go, that guy was actually making a lot of sense. He was I'm making incense here is what I'm doing. First, I'm cleaning the mortar and pestle. Yeah, it's incense I'm going to give to people that donate. Like, I figure if they donate $50 or more, let's say, I send them some incense. So they donate 50, I give them some incense, send them some incense, maybe a thank you card, maybe not a thank you card, maybe just the incense. Then 100, some incense, more incense than before, plus maybe a thank you card. I don't know how it goes, but that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, the whole thing was he said he knew some things that were objectively true, and I'm not sure it matters what they were. But I said, okay, well, tell me your definition of these things, because he was using the foreign words for things, the Hindi words for some things, and I'm like, tell me what that means to you. We're talking in English here. Tell me what that word is, and we'll talk about that. And we don't have to worry about how someone translates it, how someone believes it is in a certain text or whatever. We can move forward. We know what words mean for sure, and it's interesting because ironically, that's where we ended up is disputing the word belief and the word no. Um, Belief is the acceptance that something is true. That acceptance is belief. I mean, they had to throw another word in there that means the same thing as belief in order to tell you what belief is. It's very difficult to describe what words mean sometimes. In any case, he said, I know this. I don't believe it. Like, well, you believe it's true, so you do believe it. Whether it's true or not, that remains to be seen. It's like, no, I know it. I know it's true. I've had life experience that tells me it's true. Okay. I quantified and measured something. He didn't use those words, but he basically said, I scientifically figured this out. And so he had a life experience that proved to him that something was true. Okay. Some of what he said was not scientific, that he had arrived at stuff. But anyway, let's stick with the belief, the scientific belief. Now, I can give you a scientific proof because I view something objective in a subjective way. And I'll do that for you now. Some people know the world is flat. Some people know the world is round. They both believe they have proof. I wondered how science-minded people, could believe that the world is flat. And I researched it. I couldn't find anything. Finally, I found it. Some proofs, some believed to be factual proofs that the world is flat. And one of them was that if you put a ball down, it won't roll away forever off the end of the earth. It could be in a valley, it could be in a mountain, but you find that in areas where the ground settles, it's flat. And you put a ball on it, it doesn't roll away. That's proof. That's a proof right there that the world is flat. Shape of the world is not round. It's a flat disk. Maybe not disk, but flat. Well, we know that as idiocy now. It's he had a view of something that was objective. He saw it subjectively, and he came to the wrong conclusion. He knew the world was flat. Wasn't flat. It's not flat. We can prove it. Now we can prove it. Well, it was proved before that actual scientific proof came out. There was a guy in China and then a guy in like France or something. But unless I'm wrong, the guy in China was the earliest guy to do it with a stick in the ground and the shadow, and that's it. He used algebra. He invented a kind of algebra to use to prove how far away the sun was from the earth and to show the curvature of the earth. A stick here and then a stick somewhere else. He took the measurements of the shadow and the degrees, blah, 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 and bam. And he was right. He wasn't just using math to substantiate what he believed. He took the math from objective reality and proved how it matched together. Anyway, could he have still been wrong? Absolutely, he could have still been wrong. Hey, maybe we're wrong right now. Maybe I'm wrong that the world is round, huh? And every reasonable thing that's going on here that tells me that the world is round is a lie. That there really is some massive conspiracy that every intercontinental pilot, ship's captain, and explorer and traveler is in on, I guess. Well, no, so the travelers maybe not, but to be a pilot or a boat captain and go, take these routes, you'd have to know. You can't go from one continent to the other, and then from one continent to the other on the other side, and not know that they're continuous or not. But there's an ice wall, and you can't really get from this continent to that continent because there's an ice wall. You can't go that direction. Or whatever, you fall off the edge of the earth. Oh, looks like more than one person showed up. I guess I only see people when there's a comment on the phone. I don't know. Anyway, currently talking about knowing. Robert Fitzgerald. Anyway, I was talking about knowing. I'm making some incense here. It's Sit With Me Sunday. Going to be an ongoing thing. There'll be meditation later. You don't have to stay for that. But I'm debating knowing right now. The definition of knowing and belief. We believe we know something. We don't know we know it. Well, we say we know it. It's subjective. Not objective truth, but subjective. So we view something and then we make sense of it. So it can be crazy too. Like way back in the world when they didn't know things about science, when they didn't understand factual ways to prove things, there was a lot of superstition in the world because people needed to explain stuff. They needed to know. They needed to feel secure, not be so afraid. And religion, superstition, came in and helped out with that quite a bit. Why do rainbows happen? Well, you've seen a rainbow before. They're fantastic. They're not normal. They're not a normal thing you see around here. When a rainbow happens, it's like, wow, blast of radiant color in a shape. And it's what? People were like, what is that? Why does that happen? Well, is it because there's magical creatures? They're leprechauns, and they magically make this thing and it points to their pot of gold? I'm going to say no. Is it because God puts it there when it rains magically, unexplained, because he decided to kill all of us at one time and flooded the whole planet and only saved one family of people? Um, Objectively factual, kept saying no. Once again, we would have evidence of a worldwide flood. There's never been such a thing. There's been many floods as, you know, things fluctuated, and there have been regional floods like the one in the Middle East that probably they're referring to um, with the biblical flood and with the stories before that that mentioned that one flood. And how would they have known how big the world is, right? Anyway, to them, the world had flooded. As far as you can see, water. That's the world to them. That's what I think anyway. Makes sense. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. So a person says they know something. Well, right away, you should have some uncertainty in thinking that you know something, because most of the things that you've ever known to be true have been wrong. Just wrong. I'm starting from when you were born. You learned how gravity worked. You learned how light and sound operate, and the things that you knew as you went forward, wrong, improved your understanding, improved your understanding, improved your understanding. And you've arrived where you are now. And it's easy to sit there and go, well, now I know everything. I know all the stuff. You better think again. You're still improving. At least you should be. So I just talked about how people know the world is flat, people know the world is round. So knowing is a kind of belief. The way forward is a kind of truck. Ford is a truck. Yes, it is. But a Ford is a particular kind of truck. Knowing is a particular kind of belief. It is believed to be absolute. That doesn't mean it's absolute. It means we believe it's absolute. So it's important, first of all, like I don't know if I've reiterated here, we can't be open to new information if we don't have some understanding that we could be incorrect about things we absolutely believe are true. When someone comes and says, no, I don't think so, let me tell you why. We want to be open to that. And we want to be able to come together and talk about it, because if we can't do that, we're not going to be able to be open to information. Now, also, you might run into this with monks, with priests, with religious zealots or believers in whatever, is you come up to them and they say, this is true. And you go, yeah, I don't believe that. They're like, that's because you don't know. I'm like, well, okay, let's discuss this factually. They're like, no, we don't need to, because it's true, because I know it. You need to accept that I know better than you, and I will tell you. I will teach you. I'm the teacher. I'm the one that knows. I'm the authority. And you, well, you're just going to have to be submissive and trust me that I know what I'm talking about. Whoa. That's initiation to a cult. That's one of the litmus tests cult uses to find people that they can brainwash. Is exactly that. You're being able to be submissive to that person or that group or belief or whatever. And it's bad. It's really bad. And I run into that with Buddhists. They're like, you're a monk. How could you say this stuff might not be true? Like, well, I say it's true commonly. I say I know, but then again, I have the understanding that I can be completely wrong. But you've seen things that prove it to you. Absolutely. I've thought that about a lot of stuff and been wrong. And if you think you have a factual cause for me to believe I'm incorrect, I want to know it, because that's the best thing that could possibly happen to me, is to find out I was damn sure I knew something. Guess what? factual cause to think I'm incorrect. Wow, that's great. That's the best thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen is I'm so convinced that I'm right that I can't consider that I'm wrong and that anything anybody has to say could be correct. If there's no reason to think it could be correct at all, I'm going to just tune it out. I'm not going to process it in my brain. The subconscious is still going to hear it. The subconscious is still going to process it. What effect it's going to have, don't know. Depends. But anyway, I got so excited I forgot about what I'm doing here, making the incense. The incense that I'm making for people that donate, for people that weren't here before. Someone else is here. What did they say? A couple of people. Just says is watching. Bring them on camera. Interesting. You can bring people in. I didn't know that. If someone wants to come in and talk about the nature of truth and debate and all that, or talk about the incense or the meditation that I'm going to do at the end, let me know. I'll bring you in. We can see if it works. I don't know how good my signal is. I don't know that it'll work, but we can try it. Ugh. So what I'm making here is incense for people that donate. So like if somebody donates 50 or more bucks, I can send them some incense. If they donate like 100, I guess send them more incense maybe, or incense and a thank you card. Make it a progressive thing. So the more that a person donates, the more that I'm sending to them as a kind of a thank you, not as a purchase, because the incense is not going to be worth, what I give them is not going to be worth 50 bucks. Obviously, getting the donation to do charity work, I need to be able to do the charity work. I can't just make it a sales business, and I guess that represents profit, but it's not really profit when it's a nonprofit, when that stuff is going to charity. Let me see if anybody has decided they want to be in. Nope, doesn't look like so far. Anyway, this is the mortar and pestle, and I was saying that it's an interesting metaphor because if you use the mortar and pestle, you can clean up what you were grinding the last time. The process itself cleans the thing that you use to do the process. So with believing that we could be wrong about anything, um, allows us to do what we're doing to find out what's true. The incense that I'm going to make here is, and this is Everclear. It's not for drinking. This has actually been reclaimed, stilled, if you say, use it in that term, and I'm using it as a solvent to get rid of any gummy stuff that's here. And it seems to be pretty resistant, but I want to have it be pretty clean. I don't like contamination. Uh, so it's going to be rose petals, and chamomile, and frankincense. I went to uh, I don't know what they called it. It's a Wiccan supply place. A witch behind a counter, and herbs, candles, crystals, books. I guess maybe they tarot reading there. I don't know what they do, but the place just smells like a ceremonial place when you walk in. It's really wow. It's really interesting. Let's see. Anybody new? Doesn't look like it. Anyway, if you have any questions, you can ask. If you want to debate a topic, talk about the meditation I'm going to do later, um, whatever might be on your mind. This is a Sit With Me Sunday, so you can sit here and We can chew the fat, the way my grandma used to say. Let's see, who says what here? Nope, I just see that Heather came back. Looks like Heather left, Heather came back. Maybe there's a connection issue on her side, maybe there's one on mine, don't know. I should say I'm glad to see people. Glad to see you, Heather. Glad to see you, Rose. Glad to see you, Michaela. Ah, I didn't know you were there. Glad to see you, Robert. Glad to see you, Joe. New people have come in, so I'll reiterate what I started to talk about in the first place was we think we know stuff and it keeps us from being receptive to new information. How do we know what is objective? That's an awesome question. It always comes down to a subjective interpretation of the objective, whether right or wrong. Yes, we are subjective. We are subjective. What is objective is the truth, the fact of the matter. And this is a difficult thing for people to understand. Let me keep working while I talk. I'll get the hang of it. um, yeah, we're subjective beings. We know things subjectively. So we make observations and we have evolved to do this. It's not an accident, it's evolution. People that could make observations about things and then predict what was going to happen in the future had a higher survivability. You know, should we run into a dark cave because it's raining? There might be a monster in there. Bear, saber tooth, whatever. And we might die. So maybe we should sneak in there instead of running there, hooting and hollering and dragging some fresh meat behind us in tow. Um, it could end really badly if there's a grizzly bear in there or a polar bear or whatever. You know, should we be running around in the dark in the tall grass in Africa? Well, no. There's probably going to be a tiger and we're probably going to die. So no. People observed, they had experience, they did the best they could. And so we do that today, but it's subjective. So the Homer Simpson thing of the stone, the magic stone that keeps away tigers. Somebody tried to sell it to him. Stone keeps away tigers. It's magic. Really? Well, how do I know it keeps away tigers? Well, there aren't any tigers around here, right? Ah, okay, I'll buy it from you. No, no. See, there's an objective truth there. There are no tigers around here. And there's an objective truth there. There's a stone. Does that mean the stone is keeping the tigers away? That's the subjective part. It's interjected in there. In this case, it's probably very untrue. And I say it's always necessarily untrue. Can't say it. I'm gonna keep some unknowing in there. It might appear to be magic to me. There may be something going on that I can't comprehend. Anyway, yes, subjective. So we know the objective truth of things. What we don't know is what we don't know a lot of times. And so there's this double slit experiment. And people keep misunderstanding this, and I keep telling them about this. They hear that when it's observed that the light changes pattern. And they go, oh, so if I look at it, it changes what it's doing. No, that's not what happened. That's not what the experiment means at all. But that's what they think. They know because science has proven it. Okay, well, no. And so I have to go through the whole thing. The double slit experiment is fantastic, but it doesn't mean what a lot of people are saying it means. The observer is a detector. and it worked like an X-ray machine. And it floods energy, and it sees what comes back on the other side to detect whether or not the photon has shot through there or not. Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, like an X-ray, as it goes by, it sees. And so that flooding of energy disrupted the pattern. And the new detectors don't do that. The new double slit experiment doesn't change when you turn the detector on. But the old one did. And that told us something about the nature of light, which we didn't know before, for sure. And we view it subjectively. That objective fact of what happened, we view it subjectively and we decide what it means. This deciding what it means on our part is a subjective interjection, and it may be completely incorrect. I see it very differently. I think it proves something very different than 99% of scientists do. And when I talk to physicists about this stuff, I've been able to reach a few of them on it, a good number actually. We can talk about these things, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know what? You could be right. We'd have to do experiments in that field." That usually they're like, "It's completely not my field. It wouldn't be something I could do," and there's not really reason for or against it. So it's like a research that we can't really sell very well. But anyway, I should give you my observation in it, because some people really are interested in the double slit experiment, and that's that when the energy flooded, it knocked off the information. It knocked off the orbit that it was doing. So I think nature wants things to be round, and it wants them to spin. And that's, we see that in the universe. We see that things big and small. The way the planets go around the sun, they don't go in perfect circles. They actually go in corkscrews and ellipses. Anyway, so yeah, I think that it's the reason is that there's this spiral, and even if you take the light apart into its different constituent parts, each part is still going on that same spiral, knowing that same thing. And so, but when you hit it with energy, you knock it off. You knock it off its spiral. And so, depending on what point of the spiral the light is in when it gets hit, and for the duration, how long, you could do a math problem about this, it changes the trajectory of what's going on there. So I don't think it speaks to light being a particle or a wave. I believe that it is just a particle, and the important part that we're subjectively inserting in there says to us that it proves that it's also a wave. But no. So you might ask the question then, well, how does light get around a corner? How is it going in a straight line and it comes out like this? How does it do that? Like a flashlight, right? How does it have a widen out as it goes? Well, it's got a spiral thing going on, remember? And so it's widening as it goes. And I think this links into why we have a redshift when we see stuff that's far away, is that particular spiral. And I think how we see things have to do with the impact of that spiral. Anyway, I can't get much deeper in there. I'll be all day talking about physics here. But my point was, there's objective truth, and then there's the way we see it, which is subjective. It'll always be subjective. Our subjective view might be in line with that objective truth, and it might not be. And we can only do the best we can do. We can only know the universe through our senses, and we can only work as a group. So you see what you see, I see what I see. We come together, we talk about it, We come up with the best thing that we can come up with. And if it's objectively true, then you can quantify it and measure it and get the same results, and I can quantify and measure it and get the same results. Now, our interpretations of that same thing could be different. Um, um, a superstitious thing would be if you leave a container of wine in the forest, that the forest spirits will come drink your wine. That was a common belief in some eras in some places. Uh, were spirits coming to drink the wine? Probably not. Probably not. Probably somebody, a passerby, somebody who lives, a forest dweller, or one of the people that found out you're doing this went and drank the wine. Maybe somebody who just wants you to have a sense of wonder and belief went and drank that wine. Maybe they poured it out. I don't know. Anyway, yes, subjective, objective. We are subjective creatures. The only way we can know what's true is through facts and logic and coming together to compare notes. You see a tree there, I see a tree there. We believe there's a tree there. Is there a tree there? Maybe not. Could be a hologram. We know that we see a tree there. That's the objective truth we can all quantify and measure, is that we see a tree there. We know there's a tree there. Wow, that seems like a real simple thing to know, doesn't it? You know, 99.999 out quite a few places, you would be correct and it would never be a hologram. Could it ever happen? Yes, it could. Has it happened to somebody? I'm sure it has. They believed they saw a tree. Somebody else believed they saw a tree. It was an elaborate hologram, or a butterfly, or a bird, or, what have you. Um, so we need to be open to the fact that we might be incorrect. Be open to a factual cause to think that we're incorrect about something. It's the best thing that can happen. The best thing that can happen. People abandon scientific method when it comes to spiritual things, but they absolutely should not. And some things we just don't have any objective reason to believe. People do DMT, they do drugs, or in particular this DMT, and they have a lot of similar hallucinations. And people are like, well, that proves that what they're seeing is real. Really? Does it? Does it prove that what they're seeing is real, or does it have other explanations that are equally as valid, such as we all have pretty much the same equipment, the same brain that's malfunctioning in different stages as the drug takes effect. And then there's the the psychological component, the people talking about these experiences that they've had, these some blue woman that's a goddess or whatever, some aliens that they see alien beings. Okay, well, are they really seeing these alien beings that have a certain description, or is most of that an artifact of the brain and the rest of it made up by the people expecting to see it? We often see what we expect to see and then realize it wasn't there at all. And this some amorphia, they call it, or another. And we can see this all the time, and things will go like, we look somewhere and we think, oh, I just saw a dog. And we turn and we walk over there. Oh, that wasn't a dog at all. That was two trash bags. Okay. Two people could think they saw that dog. Doesn't mean there's a dog there. Oh, well, my thing is dry. I'm going to start with rose petals. I have my Rubbermaid containers, so I can put components in, and I can mix them in whatever proportion later on. Going to start with rose petals with the incense for people that donate. If they donate $50 so I can do charity work, they're not only going to see something about the charity work that's been happening, but they're also going to get a thank you. Well, I started with too much in there. All right. Not trying to be fast. I like to do things well instead of quickly. I think somebody was saying that there are three components to doing a job, that there's doing it fast, doing it cheap, doing it good. And you can have two of those things, but you can't have all three. That seemed pretty wise to me. I thought about it. I'm like, wait, really? Well, you get somebody to do a job cheap, and you get them to do it fast. I'm not saying it could never be done good, but obviously that's the way things head. I've told my bosses that plenty in jobs that I've had. They're like, I want you to go faster. I'm like, do you not think I'm making a real effort here? Because if you believe I'm making a real effort, you got to know the faster I go from here, the more errors there's going to be. And if you're okay with there being more errors, basically it not being, the work not being as good, then yeah, that's the direction I'll go. And they're like, no, I need it to be as good as it is now, but I need it to be faster. Like, okay, it's not humanly possible. I will try it, but I don't think it's humanly possible. I have the experience that if I go faster, I make more errors. And you have to decide what's more important. You want me not to make errors or not? Well, some things, obviously, you don't you don't go to a heart surgeon and go, you know what, your work is perfect, but you have to work faster. No, he's going to take as much time as he's going to take to do the caliber of work he can do. I think we all know we wouldn't be rushing that heart surgeon to do our heart surgery fast. We'd be concerned that that heart surgeon does a good job with our heart. Oh, it looks like we got some more text here. We got Jean. Hello, Jean. We got Dina. Hello, Dina. We got Vietco. Hello, Viet. I appreciate you guys being here. It's Sit With Me Sunday. We'll probably have these where you guys can pop in. You can ask questions about Buddhism, about this incense I'm making, about charity work that I do, about the meditation that's going to be at the end here. And the sun is going to start to go behind that building. I don't know how much light I have. So I can't work on this incense too much longer, and I'm going to have to do the meditation. But in the meantime, if anybody has any questions, something you'd like to bring up, know my viewpoint on something and why I think what I believe and why I believe it factually, then you can bring that up. With Buddhism, that gets swept under the rug so much. It's like Christians with the teachings of Jesus, where so many of them are unaware what Jesus was teaching, the inconsistencies in modern Christian churches, and what Jesus was teaching, the disconnects. It's really astonishing. Like I like to say, I like to ask Christians that seem not to be knowledgeable about Christianity, what's the one thing that Jesus commanded? And most of them do not know. The vast majority do not know the one thing that Jesus commanded. Well, how could you be a follower of what you believe is God and not know the one commandment? I just don't know. It baffles my mind. And it's the same thing with Buddhism, where I talk to Buddhists, and sometimes very avid Buddhists, of course, about a particular thing, like um, life is suffering, meaning if you're going to live, you're going to suffer, or that hate can't destroy love, but love can destroy hate. Uh, that we need to be able to factually understand things, to understand the universe, to alleviate our suffering, to help ourselves and to help other people. Um, and we can't do that through subjective only means, like is important what we're talking about here. Um, we have to have some factual pursuit, some intellectual understanding. An anti-intellectual, an anti-scientist people, they are very much against that kind of thing. Uh, Certainly much more in the Christian side than the Buddhist side, or the Muslim side than the Buddhist side. But Buddhism, very much like Christianity or Islam, there's a lot of parts to it. I was just talking to a guy today. He was saying about Buddhism, and I was like, it was whether or not it's a religion. And I was like, I say religion because I'm using it in the American sense. I don't have a better American word to say. Uh, Followed religiously, a religion. They say money is the new religion. Okay, well, certainly then my Buddhist practice is religion in that sense. Something practiced religiously. Um, he was saying it's not a religion, it's just factual. Okay, well, there are many Buddhists that have made Buddha into a Jesus-like figure. Uh, Mahayana is the one primarily, and a lot of them have made or Buddha into a Jesus-like figure, where you can gain acceptance into a heaven-like realm after you die if you simply believe in him, try to follow his teachings. Okay, some of them you get into this heaven realm that Buddha has prepared for you by chanting every day or by some other means, but definitely made it into a religion. Christianity came to those areas, and they needed to compete with Christianity, um, and their form of Buddhism wasn't competing very well against Christianity. At least that's what I've seen historically there. And so they changed it. And you can say they changed it just to compete, and I think they changed it to compete mostly. But also, I'm sure they changed it because culturally they were more apt to believe that way. Their subjective way of viewing it is skewed. So they made it into something that they could digest more easily. And I don't think they've lost all the benefit to it. And some people can argue that it's absolutely just as valid as a more traditional form like Theravada, which also isn't orthodox really because it's the teaching of the ancestors. So there's a lot of whatever monks believe. And you got to think there's stuff thrown in there that they said, well, Buddha said this, but he didn't really say that. You have to, like any other religious text, you have to go through it and go, what's the consistency of the message here to even know what the honest message of the messenger was, in this case, Buddha. Um, Very few people practice just the teachings of Buddha, and I do. It's called the Way, and it's very fact-based. And I think they were hungry for more faith-based stuff that they could relate to. And I think Buddhism is such an honest pursuit that it's very difficult, very slow. And you can't approach it and go, I'm going to achieve this. Bam, I've got it. It's not like that. Very slow, very gradual, very much like meditation. Um, there are certainly peoples that think they're meditation masters, that they're not. They know almost nothing about meditation. There's some people that are very gifted or very knowledgeable about a particular kind of meditation, and then they'll say stuff like, meditation is this. And then I'm like, what? There's hundreds of basic types of meditation. You did not encompass them all in your one sentence. There's you didn't do it. An example is meditation is stillness of the mind. Okay, no, there are a lot of kinds of meditation that are very active, uh, and so no, there are definitely lots of types of meditation. And then we get into what do the words mean, and so with a lot of this stuff, we have to get together and go, what do we mean by these words when we say them, so we can even talk about these things. And that's my problem with these people using foreign words to describe things. Well, I believe in the Dhamma. Okay, what do you think? What do you think that means? What does that mean to you? Because obviously, different people believe that word means different things. Different people have different contexts for that word. Different people have religious and cultural things going on in their subjective view of that word. And so, we try to have dictionaries, and even in dictionaries, there's a number one, a number two, probably a number three and four of what does this word mean? Well, there's different ways we can use it. Okay. So, I mean, language goes like that, and it evolves as we go. Um, if you go back to 13th century or 14th century English, you can't read that. It means almost absolutely nothing to us today because it's just language evolves over time. Our understanding of things evolves over time. Um, I sure do get distracted sometimes here. Anyway, I'm making incense for people that just got here. I don't know. It looks like at least one or two more people just got here. Let me see who the latest people are so I can say hi. This is Sit With Me Sunday. You can ask questions. Oh, that's just via co on the end there. I see. I think it's co like Coco, but I could be wrong. I think it's Viet like Vietnam, but I could be wrong. And Viet Co might be a place. I don't even know. Um, some of these names, of course, are not names of people. They're just like names of whatever words that aren't necessarily their names. So anyway, making this nice incense, and it's self-igniting incense. So I forget what the name of the chemical is, but you put some chemical in there that makes incense burn, and if you put enough of it in there, um, it can go off like gunpowder if you want, but if you use it appropriately, um, it lights the incense. So you put a flame to it, when it goes lights on fire like that. So the incense will light itself and then burn, and you don't have to worry. You do have to put it on a flame-proof surface. You should. I mean, you still have to put it in an incense burner or put it on a saucer or something that you'd have. Put it in a bowl, maybe. Probably be best, something curved. So that'll be pretty nice. So the scent of this should be like a nice, fresh, cleansing smell. The frankincense and the chamomile should be calming and cleansing. It should be very nice. So it would be suitable for freshening the place up. Got my Rubbermaid containers here. Feel free to ask questions, like I said, about Buddhism, about belief and knowing, about meditation, about whatever. Got my container here. This is Everclear. I used it as a solvent to clean the mortar and pestle out. I don't drink it. It's for a solvent. That's what I use it for. So you can extract things like if I wanted to get the good stuff out of these rose petals, I could put the rose petals in some alcohol and heat up that alcohol to make it like a tea. And then I could take and boil the alcohol out, and it boils at a lower temperature than water, and boil it out. And what I'm left with, oh, I could filter it. Sorry, I take the hot tea, maybe I let it cool down, and then I would filter it like through coffee filters, and until I didn't have any sediment in there. And then I could take the tea liquid without anything in it there and condense it down to whatever extract I wanted. I could even, since it's alcohol, it evaporates really well, and I can even leave it out in a tray and it would dry solid, whatever it is. So I could have the solid extract of whatever instance that I wanted. This has got everything of the rose in it there. Guess I'm going to have to do some quality checking as I do this. I'm sure rose leaves and stems don't smell as nice as the petals. So anyway, if I haven't said, I do have that Android application. It's got Buddha quotes with the notations. So you can look them up yourself. Where it's located in the teachings, so you can take a look. That's an Android application called Ask Buddha. I don't know if it's functional right now. I looked at it the other day, and I don't know if I would have been able to download it. This weekend was when I was going to deal with it. Some things came up. I had lunch with my mom today and a couple of sisters. That was nice. And had some debates with some people about some stuff, and that was very worthwhile. But I am going to get to getting all the things that I want to do to be productive. There we go. Nice petals. Anyway, sure somebody is going to ask a question here pretty soon. No? All right. Well, we're going to lose the light, so let's go to meditation. How about a real simple meditation? We'll go through several different types. We'll go to stillness in some different ways. No, we'll go to stillness in a certain way, and then we'll approach basic meditation in a couple of different ways because people are different. So sure, I'll clip this into a meditation thing. I'll reintroduce myself. Hey, this is A Manard, Mitzvah, amongst the way, talking about meditation. So, doing a meditation too. So let's go into it. Different people are different. And so you might be a predominantly visual person. You might be predominantly audio. You might be predominantly logical, brain thinking. You might be a tactile sense. You might have particular senses that are more sharp than others, that you really use to see the world, to understand things more than you do others. And so when you meditate, you may want to start by approaching with those senses. I would equate it to doing what you have natural talent for. So riding horses, making clay pottery, or cross-country running. Of those three, there's probably going to be one of those that you're more adept at than the others. If you only have those three choices and you haven't really learned any of them, hey, I'd advise trying that thing that you're best at first, just to try it out. I'm the kind of person that thinks you should also definitely try out the things you're worst at and get some some level of mastery in those things. I think it's really rewarding to do things that you're not good at and eventually do them well enough that most people are like, wow, that's great. I couldn't do that well. Let's see, you get a real sense of accomplishment out of that. It helps develop discipline. It's really, really useful in many ways. So as far as the meditation goes, you can just, with your eyes open or your eyes closed, most people, their brain works in such a way that their eyes are closed, they can experience stillness better. We can go back to that conversation about what's easier for you, what you're adept at, but I don't need to. So I'll close my eyes, have a moment of silence. Okay, that was short. What I did was, being a practiced meditation master, basically, and I hate to throw that out there, but I need to qualify it that way, that I have such experience, as I'm going to talk about such experience, and demonstrate that I have such knowledge. What I did is I withdrew from my senses. I stopped hearing. I stopped seeing. I stopped thinking. I stopped feeling my skin. And I condensed down into my consciousness this place where I'm aware, but I'm not receiving any sensory input. Quiet, a still place, a powerful place. And you can go there too. It's a place where I could go at any time. I could utilize that skill now that I have it at any time. If a person were trying to murder me and I got upset and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting upset. I realize this. I can act irrationally. I can make stupid choices. I can panic. I can grab hold of that. I can grab hold of that stillness, that center, that quiet, and I can make good decisions. And I can be calm if I need to be calm. So there are real world applications to meditation. It's not some woo-woo bullcrap thing. People are like, I'm enlightened, I do meditation. Okay, well, when do I ever see it? When can you ever demonstrate this to me? You know? How has it changed your life? Tell me about that. I want to know what's real. I don't know want to know what you think is real. Anyway, or specifically only what you think, and without anything. So now there are these different kinds. So visual. I can imagine an energy orb in my hand floating above my fingertips there. And I'm not going to do this very intently. This is for the purpose of just talking to you about it. And very light one. There we go. Okay. Very quick, very small. And so visually, I made myself see something that probably isn't there, right? But I used it as a meditation center. And we have this thing inside, this gland that has visual cells in it. And neuroscience believes that this is how we imagine things. This is how we visualize. It's how we dream. Is we use this center inside our brain to create our own stimulus. Anyway, it's a pineal gland. Anyway, a visual person could watch a candle flame burning. They could use anything as that kind of visual focus. Let's go towards hearing. And I'm going to go towards asking you questions about which of these things appears to you so you can know which is the best for you. I'm sorry to take such a long road, but I really need to cover these bases. I think I do. Hearing. I'm going to use an auditory stimulus. And here we go. Okay. You might have noticed I did something with my hand there. We can talk about that some other time. Uh, anyway, the auditory focus that I used was the sound of traffic throughout the city that I can hear from here. And I excluded everything else. I didn't hear birds. I didn't hear the wind. I didn't hear, you know, whatever's going on around in the parking lot here, people talking. I didn't hear any of that. I heard the thing I was focused on. And if you're auditory, you could use a bell. You could ring a bell. You could use a white noise generator. You could use, things that generates songs, even a song. You could even use a song that somebody made. I don't think you should do that as a beginner. I think that's really bad, but you could. Now, tactile input. I'm going to do tactile meditation. Okay. There, I use as a focus the tactile sensory input of my finger on my forehead there. And you might have noticed I did it in a place people call the third eye. Doesn't matter to what we're talking about right now. We can talk about that some other time. Anyway, that tactile sensation to me was the only thing that existed to me. No other tactile sensation. That. That is what existed for me. That was the focus. And as a tactile focus that people can use, or people that use all kinds of things. People use feeling the air on their skin, or feeling the air pressure of an item that's near them. Like, I don't know if you can do it, but some people can feel the air pressure of a thing next to them. And if you do this, at some point you really feel like your hand is just, there's a pressure between your hand and your face. That's that air pressure. And there's sound waves that can bounce off your hand and hit off objects and hit you too, where you can detect objects. But anyway, for this purpose, what we're talking about is the tactile input. So you don't really even need to understand this tactile input. You just need to feel it. So a person could sit next to something and feel that air pressure of that thing there. It could be a gentle breeze. They could sit outside and feel that gentle breeze. They could turn on a fan inside. Uh, they could put a bright light and then feel that light on their skin of sunlight outside. Um, some people even use sex, the tactile experience of sex. I don't advise that. Certainly, as a beginner, seems like a really bad thing to start out with. Uh, but there's a whole tantra thing about sex and meditation, and uh, anyway, you could look that up sometime if you're interested. It's interesting whether you do that kind of thing or not. Even if you never would, it's interesting. Um, I could go into other stuff, but I think I covered the bases there. So now what I'm going to do is ask you some questions, and you can think about that. I'm going to ask you to imagine. Let's say imagine just a one that people like to do, an apple. Imagine an apple for me for just a moment. I'll give you some time here. Go ahead. Okay, now the question is, was that a visual representation of an apple that you saw in your mind that isn't here? You saw an apple that doesn't really exist except in your mind. Did you see that image? And furthermore, if you did, what color was that apple? Did it have a color that you noticed? Was it red? Was it green? Was it yellow? There's even blue apples, but whatever. Uh, some people did not see an apple at all, any visual representation. Those people are basically not visual. That's not their strong suit. That's not where I would go with meditation first. I would go with something visual if you saw an apple, and especially if you saw a color of an apple. Maybe it was a vivid representation of an apple. Uh, then, yeah, visual is probably something you could start out with. Now, as far as auditory goes, have you heard a song or a sound that was so beautiful to you that touched you so deeply that just the sound of it, not like the psychological words that someone was singing in a song, but just the tones themselves give you like a tingling sensation, like really light you up? If that's true, then you probably have a strong auditory sense. And that could be a place where you could start with meditation. Certainly. Um, like with the bell or whatever. With tactile sensation, are you a person that doesn't like people to touch you? You don't like to physically be close to other people, like in a crowd. That closeness bothers you. It's not the social aspect. It's not that people might see you or talk to you. It's the physical being packed together, or small spaces, these kinds of things. If what I'm talking about relates to you, then tactile might be a good way for you to start meditation. Different people are different ways. And I am the only meditation master that I know of that talks about this, that talks about different people are different. You can have different experiences with meditation, beginning different, you have different aptitudes and strengths, and you should da 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 da. Ask these questions of people, talks about different sensory stuff. I'm the only one, as far as I know. How did that happen? How? How does this happen? I just, something occurs to me and it makes factual sense. And there's things that you can quantify and measure that certainly back up what I'm saying. And other people are not talking about this that I can see. And on the internet, I can't see it. I mean, you can think of almost anything and find people doing that on the internet. You could, ducks from space. Okay, ducks are really from space. It's a crazy thought, right? Somebody is out there preaching that on the internet, probably. I mean, it's hard to find anything that people are not out there talking about and believing that is probably absolute nonsense. So I don't even know what to say about it. My theory, I guess, is that it's so true that people don't see it. It's so obvious that we can't see it. It's in our face. It's right here. It's hard to see stuff when it's right here. It's easier to look past it. Uh, we get used to things as we develop, as we grow up, and we think things are normal that are just shouldn't be normal or are not normal. Uh, but to us, that's reality. Other things to us don't exist, but they absolutely do. Uh, I don't know. I think you get what I'm saying. But I can go into these meditation things, and I think I'm going to have meditation videos where I go through these things. I talk about hand signs. I talk about um, maybe how they relate to martial arts. I guess signs and symbols, the way language can relate to meditation, about ceremonial things, which involves a lot of stuff, which involves the crossroads of pretty much everything I've been talking about since the beginning of this live. Um, I want to go back to the original topic though, and I appreciate you guys being here. Uh, I would do more on meditation, but I think that's really as much as anybody could digest at one time. And I think a lot of you are probably surprised by how you visualize the apple or the realization that you really probably are an auditory or a tactile or a visual person, or maybe you're a thinking person, an intellectual person. They think of the apple, they know the apple, what the apple is, they thought about what the apple is, but didn't see an image. Uh, anyway, appreciate you being here. To wrap up, any questions? I'm going to give you a minute to ask those while I'm continuing to grind here. I'm going to learn how to grind this stuff and do stuff while I'm talking in these lives. I swear it. I just haven't quite got to it yet. I really like this mortar and pestle. It's made out of granite, and it's not as heavy as I would like it to be. It's pretty heavy, but not as heavy as I would like it to be. It turns out I want to muscle things around with this, and I could use a heavier base. Once again, the incense is going to go out to, I don't know if somebody's saying something or not. Let me take a look. The incense is going to go out as a thank you gift to people that donate for charity. It's Monks of the Way. You can donate the Facebook page. You can, whatever you're seeing this at, you can like, you can follow, you can whatever. You can donate through Facebook. There's an Android application called Ask Buddha. It can give you free daily Buddha quotes. It's free. Doesn't need your email address. Doesn't need to give you notifications. None of that garbage. Application on your phone. Open it if you want it. Close it if you don't. You're done. That's what I like. Anyway, you can donate through that. You can donate with PayPal. Um, you could donate with Zelle. I think if you put in Monks of the Way or the phone number of the business, you would be able to donate to the business account. Um, that's 402-681-9608, the business phone number, 402-681-9608. Of course, I know if I put this on the internet now that I'm going to get a bunch of people from the Philippines and India and Nigeria and a few other places. But that's okay. I get those anyway sometimes. Anyway, last call for questions about Buddhism, meditation, whatever. I can give it a quick go over from my point of view. No? Okay. Well, I'm going to close out. I'm going to continue to be making this incense. And within a week or so, I should have it in a form that is really nice for people to burn. And I can use it for my own cleansing, ceremonial uses or whatever. I'm sure my Buddha statue would really love to, and I don't have that here with me at the moment. I guess I probably should have it with me when I do these. Anyway, I appreciate you being here. Hope that the teachings of Buddha will bless you. I hope that you will come to compassion and kindness in your life practice and improve your life practice as you go. All right. Thanks for coming by. See you next Sunday or Saturday. I don't know how to turn it off.